Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with the TED Show. Man, we have some technology challenges right now. Most of them relate to me, but I could not be more excited than to have Julianna Ormond and RC Williams on the show with the Lab Orlando, the Lab Alliance. We're going to talk about their projects. We've known each other forever. They're amazing human beings. And I'm just so excited for them to share their story and talk about their new Indiegogo campaign as well. So much great stuff. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, Ted.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for having us on. Long overdue.
Absolutely.
Long overdue. And you guys were patient with me, so thank you. All right, so let's do origin story first. Give us a little background on the two of you, because I think people love to see a journey. They like to hear about a journey, and they want to know how you got to the point where your creativity is now really blossoming all over. So give us a little background, please.
Fire away.
So I'll start. So my background is in forensic psychology and business, and his background is, media and technology. So when we met, just forming the business of LiAison Labs, our artificial intelligence firm, really just blossomed. Like, I didn't know the first thing about technology. He didn't really know about, forensic psychology. But together, we were able to create some amazing technologies that allowed us to be able to develop what's now become the Lab Orlando and the Lab Alliance and everything that we've done.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ted. When we got together, we were both consulting actively, and we had put our heads together. And what happened is we ended up predicting things. So we're able to look at data and information and forecast the future to a certain degree. And so we asked ourselves a pretty typical question, I guess, when you get to this point is, what could we do if we put technology behind our method? And that's where LiAison Labs was actually born.
Yeah.
I think in good practice of all things, right, you kind of have this mix of East Coast and West Coast. Julianna's originally from Brooklyn. I'm from San Francisco. We said, what can we do? Who can we help? And as we were kind of starting the business off, a friend of ours said, you need to go to 1 Million Cups, right?
Yes.
And so we go. And 3 months after that, we're actually the lead organizers for it. And we just finished 3 years of lead organizers, hundreds of entrepreneurs later, a couple of exits, some mergers. We've helped a lot of businesses to grow. And so with all of that, we said, what's the next step? What's the next thing we can do? We were joking on the way in this morning about the 2 ABES, right? So always be empowering and always be evolving.
Yep.
Who can you help? Who can you connect the dots for to make something happen or to help someone to grow? We actually had a friend last night that told us after almost 2 years, he finally got a call from Les Brown.
We're so excited for him.
Super excited for him.
Nice.
So Alan Schaefer, our executive vice
I love your spirit. I've always loved your spirit. Oops, go ahead.
So our executive vice president came to us.
I've always loved your spirit.
Delayed in technology.
No.
You go.
So our executive vice president, Alan Schaefer, came to us and said, there's a space in an opportunity zone. We would like to show it to you. And when we came, all I kept thinking was, this could be the space where we could do all the shoulder events that we've been talking about, be able to do all the workshops that we've been wanting to do. How do we get together and be able to, showcase our geniuses and the things that we want to be able to teach the public? Like I always say that, we have this location, but, we shouldn't be worried about paying the rent here. And I say that because if we're all coming here to make money and to do our workshops together, this really is just a facility for the public to be able to use it, to be able to showcase what it is that they do. We needed this, we knew we needed it, and we built it. That's why we call it a people power community.
I love the title, People Powered Community, because that is really, to me, where the answer is. And we've been talking about this for a long time, the three of us, how important that is and how that is the wave of the future. The future's here, and this is the way things are going to be if you're going to be successful in the world, especially the COVID world that we live in. What was the impetus, though, behind, it's one thing to have ideas, which you all have amazing ideas. It's another thing to make it sort of your life's work. So how did you make that leap? I think a lot of people would want to know, all right, so it's one thing to have an idea, Julianna, that's great. You're great with people. RC's great with technology. But how do you make it into something that's your own, that's going to impact the whole world and actually take that leap as a couple and as a business?
So I'll start just by saying that, 8 years ago, God said to me, I'm going to do great things through you, Juliana, but I need you to submit and obey. And I'm like, submit and obey? Okay. Because to be honest with you, Ted, I mean, how could I have ever contrived this situation in developing our, the Lab Alliance, our 501c6, developing the Give Foundation, our 501c3, our, company, LiAison Labs? This is a God thing. He just kept saying, I'm going to do through you things that the community needs, because we literally built this because I needed it. I needed it as a child. I needed it as an adult. So, we built that which we know the community needs. We need to be able to give back hope. We need to be able to say we're going to educate. We're going to be here for each other. Because honestly, for 3 years, when we were facilitating 1 million cups, we built our company because of the people that were in the audience. We helped the audience members develop their business. It was really about, I have this gift and this talent. You have this gift and this talent. How do we merge together to be able to help each other, be able to develop my dreams, your dreams, our dreams? So I just literally connected what was our dream to the needs and the dreams of the other people. And I said, hey, I need some help. And they were like, I'm here. With this location, everyone's saying, how can I get involved? I've been wanting to get involved with the community. We don't know how to get involved. Well, if God helped us to facilitate this facility, then let's all use it together.
Yes. RC?
Ted, it's amazing. We talk a lot about collisions that happen in a friendly way, right? 1 Million Cups was a series of collisions of people in the community who before that did not know each other, and a conduit from 1 Million Cups invited them into the experience, right? And as we were looking at, wow, we're talking to people that say, so-and-so sent me, and that person maybe had been on the road, hadn't been there in 3 or 4 months, right? It's like, wow, the aggregate effect of a people-powered community is critical, right? So when you're thinking about an idea, because I know people watching right now and who are going to watch this in the future say, man, I got that idea. What's the thing? What's the linchpin that I'm missing? It sounds super cliche, but you actually have to take the step to do it. And you have to be okay with it being uncomfortable and awkward and people looking at you funny. You just have to be okay with it. Stick to your guns. And by all means, something that I hear in my head all the time, keep moving. Keep going.
And then find the people to help you. Yep. Keep moving, 100%. Keep going. Absolutely.
So what happens? We had a lot of questions before we went live. We were promoting about what exactly the Lab Orlando and the Lab Alliance are, and if they have an idea, like what's the typical scenario? Somebody come in and go, oh my God, RC and Juliana, I need help. I have no idea what to do. Can they come in at that level, or do they need to does it need to be a little more sophisticated where they're at? What does it look like when somebody comes into the lab?
So it's a great question, Ted, and we actually were on a call Monday morning with Senator Tim Scott's office. So Tim Scott is the senator from South Carolina who originally came up with the concept of qualified opportunity zones. So I'll get to that in a second. So we actually got the same question, right? And here was our logic. When we moved in, as Juliana mentioned, originally we're like, this is our place for shoulder events, because people who came to 1 Million Cups said, what if we want to do something on a different day, in the evening, we don't really have a space. So we're like, hey, we have this space where we can do stuff. So we signed the lease here on March 1st. The next week, the COVID shutdown started. So congratulations, you got 2,700 square feet of space and you can't have anybody in there. So the one thing we did have, Ted, right, and true entrepreneur style, the one thing we had was time. And we said, okay, what is it that we need to know? Why is this happening? And what do we need to know? What do we need to learn? And what we discovered when we started doing research is just how important opportunity zones are for the communities that they serve. So there are 8,700 of them around the United States. Many of them are underrepresented communities. We're talking to you today from the Paramore district, just off of downtown in Orlando, which is an opportunity zone. So when we started researching, we found studies that showed the correlation between socioeconomic status as a child and what happens to you as an adult. And literally, Ted, I swear it's just like a down arrow, right? If you're struggling early there, it's pretty much over. And we said, okay, what if we created kind of a hybrid economic accelerator where businesses and entrepreneurs can come in, get the help that they need, become attractive to investors who are incentivized to invest not only in real estate in an opportunity zone, but also businesses. And then how can we open up time and space to members of the Paramore community to come in and get this knowledge or get this information so that they can either become more healthy, more wealthy, right? Whatever we're doing here, workshops, teaching, or whatever else, let's make it open and available to the Paramore community so that economic parity, which is what they want to happen with opportunity zones, actually happens. When things change, the people in the community should be empowered to be able to participate in that growth and that success. And so ultimately, that's where the idea of the Lab Orlando kind of came from and grew to. So we said, look, we're onto something, right? We've got a space. We could actually duplicate this idea across multiple opportunity zones all over the country. But we need an alliance, a membership group, so that when people join, they get discounts on usage of the space and they can participate in workshops. They can do their own so that this thing is supported. So no matter where you go, if there is a lab in an opportunity zone where you're at, if Ted is doing the TED show around the country, he could go to all the labs and he would get the same experience and the same help to do his show all across the United States.
And then from the perspective of the investors, you know, they're looking for diversification and they're going, okay, well, I would love to invest in a startup, but that's risky, right? But the rewards are great, but it's really risky. So what if we said, as an artificial intelligence firm, we're helping you, Mr. Investor, to know that when you're putting your money into an organization, into a startup company, that we've already vetted them, we know that they're in the right location, that we've got their back end, that we know that, you know, they're going to get the support that they need, they're surrounded by the right people to make sure that they're going to grow and to flourish, and we can do that for, you know, the new startup that's coming into the door. Because I firmly believe, well, first, in a small government, you know, our laws, take care of our laws, make sure we're protected. Outside of that, it's about the people taking care of the people. But how do the people take care of themselves? I mean, if they can't take care of their own individual self, how are they supposed to help the next person next to them? So if we now have a facility where we're really helping them and we're saying we're just a group of people, we're a people-powered community, where we can help you, you know, take that seed, that thought, that idea, that vision, and make that grow, because I know I'm looking at my community. What's here, what's not here, what's needed here, so that we can develop that for our own community. We can do that ourselves.
And I think that's got to be the way things go, because the world that we live in is completely changed, not just COVID, but there's so many other factors. And so people have to take that control back. What happens is they want to take control back. They want to do their own thing. They want to take a leap. They want to do a new thing. They want to live their dream, but they don't know how, or they just have an idea, maybe
Right.
idea. Here's what I want to do to help, or here's what I want to start up. And they don't have a place to go where like minds come together to help each other. And that's what I believe the lab concept is all about.
Exactly.
So it's correct, Ted. A couple of years ago, we actually wrote the theory of hubonomics. So our logic was this. In creating people-powered communities, we're not the only ones that are working to accomplish this, right? What if we were able to create an ecosystem like a hub and spoke model where you were only 1 or 2 degrees away from the thing that you needed or the connection that you needed, regardless of where they were at?
That's right.
And we said, okay, let's put this to the test. While we were doing 1 million cups, we put this to the test. And what ended up happening is that people would present at 1 million cups Orlando, and before we knew it, they've done 10 or 12 more around the country. Some folks have done almost the entire country, right? And we're like, hubonomics actually works. So in the lab environment, and we're, by the way, for everyone watching, we're actually doing it right now. Hubonomics is happening right now because our community is here. Ted's community is here. We've now collided. Ted is asking all these great questions, exposing his audience to this. And now, Ted, your hub is going to go off and say, man, that's great. Who else can I help? Who can we bring down? What can we do together? And before you know it, it grows and grows and grows and grows.
Yep.
So number one question that we got before we went live. People who say, I've got a great idea, but I am terrible. I haven't figured out how to pitch properly.
Yes.
I think public speaking is the #1 fear above death, if that statistic is still true. And so people have a great idea, but they're so afraid that they're not going to sound sophisticated enough, and that their passion isn't going to be enough to get that investment or get to that next step. What do you guys say to that, or what kind of help can you provide for that?
Well, #1, when it comes to investments, your product is second, and it's really second to your team. So if we can help you develop your team, right, then we'll develop you and we'll develop the product. But first, let's get you surrounded by the right people to be able to help you do and create your vision properly.
Yeah, Ted, as you can imagine, over the years, we've seen so many pitches and we've helped so many entrepreneurs to refine that pitch. One of the big ones when people say, oh my God, how do I do this? I got to have this. No. The thing you actually need to do is what we're doing right now, and that's be human.
Yeah.
While investors are interested on a return in their investment, when you're at an early stage, they're also interested and often fascinated by you. Think about what's happened. You've come up with an idea that can potentially change the world.
Yep.
An investor at that stage is going to be naturally curious. Ted, your first question was, give us some background on you guys. People love a story about what's going on. The same logic applies.
Yep.
And for me, as someone who has been in the media business for 25 plus years, has been on the air, has gone through this gamut, right? Something that I still do at least once a quarter. There is a book by an author named Carmine Gallo. He is brilliant. He spent a ton of time studying successful pitches and stories. And so he wrote a short book called The Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. You can get it on Audible for like nothing, or you can find a copy on Amazon, right? No big deal. That book will change the way that you look at what you do and how you put together a story. And I think one takeaway that we use a lot from that book, and Carmine Gallo has written others, by the way, Talk Like Ted, pun intended, Ted, Talk Like Ted, The Storyteller's Secret, right? But one of the things that he talked about with Steve Jobs is how he spent so much time simplifying the presentation into story form. When he introduced the iPod, he could have given all the technical definitions, 512 megabits, got this and that. And you know what he decided on? 1,000 songs in your pocket. Simple. Everybody got it right away.
Yep.
Those are the things that
I agree. You're right. I think people try to overcomplicate because they are afraid of their pitch, or they're afraid that their idea isn't going to be accepted. So they use flowery terms or come up with things that they think other people will like. But the human side is just so critical, and the simplicity of things. If people don't want to read, we all know they have the attention span of a gnat. We all do. We don't really like too much information at once. But when we're ready to take a dive, we want to see the human side. We want to see the real. And we want it to be simple in our terms. I tell people all the time, you really need to dumb it down for me because I don't speak your language. So you need to give it to me in a way that I can digest. And I think that's what a lot of times these people who pitch or they have these ideas, they make it so convoluted and so complex that people can't digest the idea, even if it's a great one.
Exactly.
So what's the Indiegogo campaign? Talk to me.
Yeah, wow. So, as we put this together, Ted, we were thinking, we want the community to participate. We really want to move the people-powered community to the next level. So we said, let's create an Indiegogo to celebrate what we're doing with the Lab Alliance and the Lab Orlando and plan for the future, because other folks have inquired about having a lab in their city or their part of town. So we designed the Indiegogo to allow folks to be a part of the process. And what we did, Ted, it came to us, we were working late here one night and we were sitting around talking, and the term I empower came to us. So what we've done with the Indiegogo is we've created a series of I empower swag. When you come and hang with us and say you want to be a part of the family, and the lead on that is a very unique challenge coin folks have heard about these, but when you do that, you get the I Empower the Lab Alliance challenge coin, and we've got shirts and hoodies, and we've got 20 picture windows here. You can sponsor one of those. But the idea was we wanted the theme to be around empowering. I empower. So when you participate in the process, you are literally empowering the lab and the Lab Alliance to do all of the things that we talked about a moment ago in supporting community, supporting entrepreneurs, and really kind of that economic parity that we talked about for people, not just in the Paramour, but all the opportunity zones that we move into.
Yep.
So how do people get involved, or what if somebody wants to get involved in your Indiegogo campaign? I didn't put that down there, but we've got the laballiance.org. Is there a way for them to check it out, look it up?
Yeah, Ted. So if they go to the laballiance.org, we've got it slapped right on the main page. People are curious, right? They've now kind of heard the story or the background. They're going to want to learn more about what we're doing and what we want to accomplish with the Lab Alliance, what the vision is. So they can go to the laballiance.org and see that. And then right on the front page, they'll see the link to go to our Indiegogo, so they can join us in this process. Ted, it's amazing to think about what we can do and collisions like this and how many more of those we can have. We've been on 10 phone calls this week with different groups talking about the same thing that we're talking with you about, is that, guys, listen, the times create the opportunities, right? Everything going on around you is going on, but there's opportunity. There's huge opportunity. You have to be unique. You have to be different. Sure, shift your idea, but don't quit. And that's the thing with the lab, is that we're like, wait, this is the time to create a bunch of labs and help a bunch of people.
Where people need to be seen.
Yeah.
If you're not out in the public somewhere where the people are, so that we can go, we see your genius, we know how to plug you into the system. There's plenty of people who need you. I mean, I always say it's more of a blessing to bless other people than it is to be blessed. So come here so that we can bless you. Come here so that you can bless other people with who you are. We need to know you, because as a community, we need to come together to be able to help each other. It is all about being a people-powered community.
100%.
Absolutely. So we hope to have this lab throughout the United States.
So where did... Go ahead.
Nope, good. So where did?
I sit here, I'm in awe. I've known this about you from the beginning, since we've known each other, but you all are such givers. You want to give back. Everything's about giving back, and collaboration is a word I think of when I think of the two of you. So where did that come from? Were you born with it? Did you always have it? Is it something that you all developed? Because people ask me all the time, you're an advocate for so many different people and different things. It's just a natural thing for me. I can't pinpoint something. How about you all? Did you always have this sense of, I want to give back to my community, I want to be part of a bigger good, a greater good?
So when we first met and we were merging our companies, he looked at me and he said, do you have a name for our company, like our joint company? And I said, no. And he said, I would like to call it The Give, G-I-V-E, The Give. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what a great name. So we created the 501c3 as the Give Foundation. But again, we created that which we needed because, again, as a child, I needed a place where somebody could look at me and say, Juliana, I see your genius, because my parents didn't see it, and that's okay, right? But I needed other adults to be able to recognize that and to put programs around me and people around me to be able to make that genius within me flourish. And even as an adult, I didn't know this thing called community. I'm from Brooklyn. We didn't really have a community. I had my block and I had my friends, but once we grew up, there wasn't really that sense of community. I didn't understand community, but I knew that I was looking for something, and it was community that I was looking for. I had a friend of mine, she was like, I'm looking for a community. I didn't understand that concept until we really started working with 1 Million Cups, and we started forming this community, and people were rallying around us, and we were all like, oh, is this what a community is about? Like, this is phenomenal. Well, what if we made our own little community and then we impacted the larger community, right? So that's what we're doing here with the Lab Alliance and the Lab Orlando. So we want our immediate community. We want people to get involved. We want people to go, I got a place. This is home. This is mine. I'm part of this. I get to say, I did this, meaning not I, Juliana, but all the people. I want their involvement. And then I would like to, see this, go viral throughout the United States, because other people go, you know what, that's mine. You know, we had Sean Schonberg here one day, and he said, my lab, you know, this is my space. And I'm like, thank you. When you're here, you're home. Yeah.
People want to feel like they belong, and they want to feel like they have value where they belong, and they want to feel the worth. And what you are creating is a place where people, sometimes for the very first time, have those feelings of belongingness and value and worth. And that, to me, is what the community is about. That's what the Lab Alliance is about. That's what globally, you're thinking globally, because we touch people all over the world. It's not even 6 degrees of separation anymore. We can make an impact on so many people, but you all are creating an environment, or have created an environment, and now a physical space for people to come and to feel that. And when people feel that way, they become more positive, they become more creative, they become more engaging. It changes people's lives. So it is, I have huge kudos for you guys and great appreciation for what you're doing, not only for the Orlando community, the Paramore community, but the global community. All right, so what's the best way if somebody wants to reach out to RC and Julianna?
You know, they can go to thelaballiance.org. Email address is there, but I'll give it to you guys again. It's info, I-N-F-O, at thelaballiance.org. Quickest way to get to us. Phone number, if anybody needs it, 407-630-8482. Pop in extension 700 and you'll get to us direct.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to hearing from everybody.
Fantastic. Yes, we are. You guys are a joy. I'm so excited that you came on. Thank you for putting up with a little bit of the delay. But your message, you always are positive, and I know that you have changed people's lives, and I just want to give you the thanks and the shout out that maybe you don't hear enough, but you should, because making impact on those lives has a ripple effect in the world. And so what you guys are doing is changing the world. It's truly changing the world. So thank you. I love you both. I appreciate you both. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Woo. All right, guys. See you later.